Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on improving access to wash and the important role of the clothing and fashion industry. My name is Anna Nils, and I'm the Chief Executive of erAid Sweden. And we are delighted to see so many participants interested in this really important topic. We are really proud to present two of our corporate partners, which is Lindex and Anna-Karin Dahlberg, and GANT with Jessica Bodmar-Cederberg, who's representing two really important programs that are life-changing for many people that we work with. We also have some groundbreaking results from research conducted by our colleague Ruth Lof, who's a senior private sector advisor in erAid UK. And she has worked with a study looking at the business case for wash. She will also present the Wash Apparel Collective, a new initiative which is now open to join. So erAid is an NGO that has existed since 1981, and it was actually born out of the corporate water sector in the UK. Today we exist in 34 countries all over the world, and we have one common mission, and that's to transform lives through sustainable and safe water sanitation and hygiene. So the textile industry is today one of the world's largest industries and requires large amounts of water in the manufacturing process. So reducing water use and water impact in the textile production is a major challenge. All over the world, 771 million people are lacking access to clean water today, and as many as 1.7 billion people suffers from lack of good sanitation. And we are working towards our vision that everyone everywhere will have access to wash, and that will demand a lot of goodwill, engagement, dedication, and funding. So we work together with organizations, institutions, and corporations. And today we are having the first live week of the World Water Week, which is a huge conference happening every year, bringing together the international community to work towards a more water-wise world. erAid is actually involved in 25 different sessions this year, covering themes like business investment and climate resilience. And we work together, as I said, with institutional donors and with corporate partnerships and with individual donors. But today's focus is on the corporate side of our work. And we see that business is increasingly incorporating the UN Development Goals in their agendas. And what we like to emphasize is that goal number 6 on water and sanitation is actually crucial to achieve so many other global goals. For example, you need clean water and sanitation to eradicate poverty, to combat malnutrition, to improve health and medical care, to achieve equality and an overall sustainable planet. So that's why we like to emphasize the importance of WASH, as we call it. So I would like to introduce the panel discussion. And we work in many different countries, and many of those countries are also production countries in the textile industry. For example, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Cambodia, and Ethiopia. So there is a very clear connection between responsible water use in the industry and people's access to clean water and sanitation. And we have two panelists here, Anna-Karin Dahlberg, who is the Director of Sustainability at Lindex, and Jessica Cederberg-Bodmar, who's the Global Sustainability Director at GANT. And we work together with them with some really fantastic projects. So I would like to start with you, Jessica. What does water mean to you personally and for GANT in the broad perspective?
First of all, thank you so much for having me and GANT. It's really a pleasure, and we're very happy to have this collaboration together with you. I mean, I'm very spoiled with water. We are surrounded here in Sweden with water, and we can just like make a glass of water out of the tap, and that's perfectly fine to drink. And there is absolutely no scarcity of water in our taps here. So that is something that I think has brought me much attention over the years that I worked with this, that I realized more and more that water is a very scarce resource, and that we need to change that to make sure that we understand and not use it as something that is endless just because there's a lot of water on the planet. It's not the same as everybody having equal access to it. So for me, water is something that I'm very, very like, I realize more and more every day. So it's a never stop learning journey on water for me. And that's what it means. When we're talking about GANT and water, it is of course something that really runs through everything, because water, making clothes, we need water. We need water when it comes to the raw material, and also of course we need water in the processes and all of those things. And also of course the people that are making the clothes and wearing the clothes also need water. So water is absolutely a foundation that we want to work with. And this is also where it's important to say that we're working across different areas here, because water cannot be treated as a silo. It needs to be treated together with all the other things that we have focused on. Climate, we have focused on the fiber staircase, where we want to go from something that is conventional to something that is better. So it is important to work with water because it's integrated in all of these areas. And water also affects biodiversity, and we also, of course, the social aspects of this. So for GANT, it's really crucial to work with water. And that's also where it's important to do not just what we need to do within our own scope, but also go beyond that. And that's why the partnership with erAid is so important. But I will come back on our I'm very proud of the project that we have with you. So I will come back on that later on.
Thank you, Jessica. And what about you, Anna-Karin? What does water mean to you and to Lindex?
Thanks so much, Anna, for having me and Lindex for this conversation today. Looking forward. So for me, I have the same reflections as Jessica. I have lived in Asia for 10 years in different countries, and I've traveled extensively, and very often found myself in situations where, you know, you can't just open the tap and pour yourself a glass of water like we can in Sweden. So for me, it's really, you know, dawned on me what a luxury it is here in Sweden. And I remember when I moved to Bangladesh back in 2003, and the water bottles that we bought there were marked with a label where it said arsenic free, which was, you know, I was astonished, because that was like a selling argument for that water. And to me, it had never occurred that that it would not be, you know. So water is, like, for me, a luxury. And for Lindex, it's you know, it's business critical for us, and it's one of our focus areas. We have selected a few SDGs on which we have a lot of impact and where we can make a difference. SDG 6 is one of those. And we work with water across choices of material, in product innovation, in our supply chain, with our suppliers, and so on. And the project that we're going to talk about today, where we actually go outside the factory walls and into the communities, is definitely spot on into SDG 6 that we have selected as one of our, but also SDG 5, gender equality. So we'll come to that more.
Thank you so much, Anna-Karin. And I remind the participants that there is a possibility to ask questions in the chat. So we have 3 really experienced experts here, and I'm sure there are many questions out there. So you say, Anna-Karin, that it's business critical for you. It's one of your core areas. Would you like to tell us a bit more about the project that you are working with together with erAid, and how it's linked to your value chain?
Sure, absolutely. So we have made a water risk mapping across our production countries and our value chain to sort of identify the main risks connected to water in each production country. And as we have already said, textile industry has a really big impact on water and a big water footprint, both when it comes to water consumption and pollution. So When we have looked at our different production countries and mapped out the risks, obviously we see different challenges in different countries, and we need to address those challenges as they are in those countries. Bangladesh has a lot of water, but it's polluted. So from there, we have looked at, really from that perspective, our project with WaterAid, where we're going to communities and together build infrastructure and provide access to clean water, toilets, and training for workers and textile communities in wash, sanitation, and health, is really the right way to address that actual issue in Bangladesh. And if we look at SDG 6, and one of the business actions that we can take is to invest in infrastructure and clean water in underdeveloped communities. So this fits right into that goal. So we have had a project with you with WaterAid for 3 years in Mirpur, which is a slum area where a lot of textile workers live. And we are now moving into Ghazipur, another area in Dhaka, where also a lot of textile workers live, to build toilets, train people in the communities on sanitation and health, with focus on women and menstruation hygiene, and also building real toilets, good toilets, inclusive ones, where also women can practice hygiene during menstruation and so on. And from that, also building towards gender equality.
Right, thank you so much, Anna-Karin, and we will get back to this project and your reflections around that very soon. But if I hand over to your colleague here, Jessica, so would you like to tell us a bit more about your work with WaterAid and how you link that to your business case?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, you're correct that we are colleagues, because this is a thing within our industry that we all want to work with, and this is also where it's very good that we can work together with you, because we can all align. We can compete with design, but when it comes to water and sustainability, we shouldn't compete. So I'm very happy that you acknowledge that, and me and Anna-Karin also know that. So, but that's important to say to everyone, that this is a collaboration work. And when we are talking about our project, I'm super proud, because this is something that we would never have been able to do without WaterAid. And for us, when we started in 1949 in the US, we started using cotton from India already then. And we're still using a lot of cotton from India in our production, because cotton is a great, durable and versatile fiber, but it also is something that really takes up a lot of water. So of course, we have worked on going from conventional cotton to something that is better. And this year, we're actually meeting the target to have 100% cotton that is better than conventional. But this is also important to know, that when we're working on the fibers and also working with the technologies and all of those things, that is within our own kind of like supply chain. So we go from dirt to shirt, but then comes the important thing to go beyond that. And this is also where we have not chosen an area where we have any production, but we chose India since we have the connection to India. And we also chose India because that's the country where we produce things. And we think that water, we wanted to give back and start an innovative project. And together with you, because we also know that India has a very scarce resource of water. And this is where I mean, I love the fact that you're collecting rainwater, and this is a rainwater collective. It's called Conserve Every Drop project. So it is collecting rainwater, and then of course making sure that they can be used for the crops that they grow there. And it's not cotton, so it's not for us, but it is for that region. And then it's in Bangalore, I should say, and it's more than 10 villages, and it's all of them that we are helping together with you and supporting. And then when they're collecting that, they can use it for the crops, they can use it for sanitation and hygiene. But here's the thing, we're also together with you replenishing the groundwater. And that innovative part of this, replenishing the groundwater, is so important, because that is something that we need to scale up. because if we don't replenish the groundwater, then where are they going to get the next water again and again? And that's why we also found this so interesting to have this opportunity together with you to start this up in a small scale first. I mean, small, but it's 10 villages, and that's still big. And also the focus that you have on women and youth and empowering them to be water kind of guardians and help. So that is also what they are learning. And that also is then spreading. And you're also having all of these very good, like you're teaching everyone. And this is the thing. I say that you are, but it's of course us together, but it is WaterAid that is the biggest part here. And that is the one that they are trusting and seeing and being helped by. But of course you need us to support that, but we need you back because this is where we also can have that scalability. And an important thing, a very important thing, you have the measurability, because I mean, it is something that we need to measure. What kind of impact does this make? How does it become better? Because you need that to have the proof to scale this and to see how much better impact it can make. So I would say that for us, it is of course also business critical, but this is also where we have the opportunity to go from beyond what we do and take that more as something that to give back to a society and a community that we have been using for such a long time with great great collaboration to do this together. So that's what we're doing and what I'm very, very happy to do with you. And of course, this is something that we see is scalable across everywhere else as well.
Thank you, Jessica. And you mentioned gender equality, and so does Anna-Karin. So I was wondering if you, Anna-Karin, would like to explore a bit further on the links to gender equality and effects that you see on the ground for the people that we work with.
Anna-Karin, you're mute.
Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, so we also have a strong focus on gender equality as well as water. And also if we look at SDG 6, those are very interlinked. But we also run a very robust program within our factories called We Women, which focuses on building HR management systems that create inclusive workplaces for women, equal pay for equal work, where women have the same possibilities for a career as men, where women are put in leadership positions, and there is also a health component in this program that focuses on women's health, because obviously that's the foundation. If you don't have your health, you can't also climb on the career ladder. So the project that we have together with WaterAid is also a big piece of this puzzle, so that the women can actually practice what they have learned at home in their communities. If they come to the factory, that they get education in health and hygiene and sanitation, but they can't practice it at home in the communities, then the gain is only half. So to echo what Jessica just said, is that the great thing about this partnership is that we have together with WaterAid crafted the aims and ambitions, and to make the project a real collaboration and a real combination, so that it fits our other programs, and so that we can lay the whole puzzle. We've been strategic partners with WaterAid for a long time over the years. We've also worked with charity, where we had sales activities and sort of contributing to WaterAid's global projects. But this project takes the collaboration to a totally different level, where we are actually together crafting the ambitions and the outline of the project and the content of it. So for us, it is it's like laying a piece of the puzzle where we work for gender equality through access to clean water.
Thank you, Anna-Karin. And what about you, Jessica? If you explore with us a little bit the effects that you see on the ground for the people living in these areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we have a slightly different approach from our company, but that's still, we see this as a way of them getting a better understanding of water. And when we're using this internally and externally together with other stakeholders that we have and talk about this is also a very tangible project where we can speak about the water engagement that we have throughout. And then this is something that is then we can speak upon on that as well. But I think when it comes to the impact it has, it is important to realize that the focus, when you put focus on water, that is also where you need to do all the other stuff. So of course we also did a water risk analysis, and that also showed where in what areas we need to take more actions, both from fiber perspective, but also when it comes to production areas and stuff like that. So one water issue and one water context and one water question brings on the others as well, which is a good thing, because then you have things that pulls everything along, and that is good. So for us, it is all of those things entangled together, and that's also why it's important to have and raise the awareness on this. So that's why we are also very happy to have this as part of that. It's not just one thing, it's this thing and this thing and this thing. And when you then put it together, and also then put it together with climate and biodiversity and chemicals and all of those things, then you have a better picture of all the impacts and all the changes that you can do. And I also love the fact that this is more than risk mitigation. Sometimes you do things just because it's a risk, but this is an opportunity. We see this as an opportunity to do something that is scalable and something that can have a bigger positive impact. And this is also, we want more companies to join in and do this, because the rainwater harvesting has been there for quite a while, but it's the replenishing of the groundwater that is the innovative part of this. And that's again a good thing. Without all the technologies and without all the inventions and everything, that wouldn't be happening. So I think that that's also why we see this as something that goes beyond just risk mitigation, because many of things are that this is a positive action that you can take and then have that and in that sense, I think it drives a lot of engagement internally as well.
I was just going to ask you about that, because the two of you are obviously strong water champions, and how has that been received internally? Is water a sort of natural sustainability issue for everyone, or have you sort of worked to get there internally? Would you like to share something about that with us?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, we were born on the East Coast, so water is close to us, but then to have that kind of knowledge and to have that never stop learning moment about what water actually means and how much it takes care and so on, that this project and this collaboration together with you has been very important for that. And I want to mention that the March for Water that you do is also a very important thing, because that is something, I mean, everybody works with numbers and do strategies and policies and report, and that's one thing. But March for Water is something where everybody from the office until to the store staff, and they are all equally important, but that's also where they can engage and also learn more. And that we've seen, that was an insight from us. The first time we did it, we didn't have as much participants as we wanted, and I was very almost bummed about it. But then we worked much closer together with HR, and we worked together with you, and we used many of the tools that you have on how to engage people. And we saw a massive increase of people wanting to take part of WaterAid's Water March. And that is super important, because that is tangible in a different way. So I think that having that, like, I can report all the numbers and like, this is how much water it saves and all of those things. But for people to actually have a way of doing it as well was really important for us to gain that for everything within water within the company. So that again is a great thing that you have organized.
Right. So for those of you not familiar with March for Water, that is an annual campaign that focuses on the fact that so many people, in particular women and girls, walk very far every day to get water to their homes. And so it's a sort of movement of people walking in solidarity with the world's poorest communities. And one of the aspects is that we have an app where you can register your number of steps each day and so on. So obviously that has worked really well for you, Jessica, in sort of involving staff. And what about you, Anna-Karin? How do you work with getting staff involved in your sustainability work, and in particular with the water issues?
We work with a number of different. We haven't joined March for Water just yet. But if we look at sustainability as a whole, I mean, the scope is pretty huge, and it really encompasses everything that we've talked about before, like climate, biodiversity, human rights, water, all. So, and sustainability as a topic is really big in the index, and our employees are very, very engaged. So it's a lot about integrating sustainability into the business and into the everyday life, and not keeping in a silo with the sustainability department, but really integrating everything around sustainability into the business units. That keeps the engagement very high, where everybody has goals and understand why we have these goals and ambitions. I think the report, if we speak about this particular partnership and collaboration with WaterAid, so the reports and the little films and all the materials that we have got throughout the project with the figures and like real results, where we actually see how many people have been touched by the number of clean toilets, and what did it look like before, what does it look like now. I think we can all really relate to the fantastic results, and the tangible results of this project has really had a high impact and a lot of engagement. And particularly all our wonderful colleagues out in the stores that have also worked with the sales activities that we've had in International Women's Day, for example, have created a lot of engagement to understand also, where the money goes to. So we've had, 10% of today's sales are going to these projects in WaterAid. And then everybody understands, with the facts, the figures, the films, the reports, everybody understands, this is where it goes to. And it has created a lot of engagement. So that has been fantastic. And also, little facts like we actually saw that within our project, there was a school that was renovated as well in the slums, where toilets were built and they were made inclusive for girls and women, or particularly girls. And this actually created, it was a bonus effect where 200 more students showed up to school, because the schools were so, it all of a sudden became so nice to come to school. This is like great facts that really touches everybody, I think.
So would you see a lot of sort of engagement with your staff, and they feel inspired by the work? What about wider business effects? Like, how do you think about the links to business case, return on investment, and these things that we also like to see in our sustainability work?
I mean, for us, it's really about there are so many reasons for working with sustainability, or transforming to a sustainable business. It has effects on our brand, on the actual product and product innovation. It builds resilience within supply chain. It attracts talent. So even if we don't measure particular return on investments or so for each topic, we for us it's not just an option not to do it. It's just part of our DNA and our brand. But also, coming back to what you just said, Jessica, of course it's about risk, it's about new legal requirements, it's about a lot of these things, but that can't be the only reason for integrating sustainability in your business model. That will not really make any change, or it won't change behavior. It's just, I mean, there are so many reasons for sustainability. So even if it's not measured in money, particularly this project, what does it give us? You know, it's just, there is no option, right? For many reasons.
But can I just add on there that, I mean, for us, we say that sustainability is the current foundation for profitability, and also the future foundation for profitability, because we don't see that we can be profitable or be a brand that someone would like to work for or work together with or buy from, unless we have sustainability in water really work. And this is also, of course, we have strategies when it comes to climate, when it comes to water, when it comes to fibers, when it comes to social, when it comes to workers, and all of those things. But that is also where it's important for those to like really marry together and work on those and have them integrated into the business. And that's also important why it's like we need everybody here to work. And you were asking, Anna, does it impact when we're working with our partners? And for us, I mean, the suppliers is our right and left hand. We can't do anything without them, because I mean, this is where we really need to work together with them. And of course, then we have 20.
So I'm not seeing or hearing Jessica right now. It looks frozen. Is that the same for you, Anna-Karin? Yeah.
Yes, she looks frozen.
Okay. So let's just hang on a few seconds and see what happens. Okay, so while waiting for her return, I'll ask you, Anna-Karin.
The only thing we're doing, because it needs that internally now, has finally come to the realization that it all comes.
This meeting is being recorded.
Jessica,
Yeah.
we're having some issues hearing and seeing you. So you kind of went away and then returned. So if possible, can you just like go back a minute or so?
A minute or so, okay. No, I was saying that it all comes back, it all ties together. And I think that the important thing is that I think that more and more are realizing that without doing this, there will be no business. And business is not business as usual. It is sustainable, innovative, water focused, biodiversity focused business, because that's what we need. But that is the opportunity. It is a challenge, but it's complicated, but not impossible, I would say.
Thank you so much, Jessica. So you mentioned innovation, and so did Anna-Karin a couple of times. And I know that you, Anna-Karin, that you have worked with innovative projects in the field of menstrual health. Would you like to tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, absolutely. So for everything that we do in Lindex, you know, evolves around the woman. We have put the woman in the center and the woman's needs. So in the light of that, and also combining our very long experience within underwear, we have recently launched a new brand called Female Engineering, which is focusing on period-proof underwear. And together with that, we have also invested in a startup company called SpacerPad, which SpacerPad has launched or innovated a product, and the focus of SpacerPad is to fight menstruation poverty and also promote sustainable consumption. So the focus is on a reusable period protection, which can absolutely be used in and combined with you know, the projects that we have, because it's it really you know, compared to disposable period protection, this can be used over and over and over again. So we are, you know, we are really focusing on the woman's needs here, and promoting sustainable consumption, trying to reduce disposables, and focus on female health and the woman's needs, and combining this with what we do with WaterAid really also again sort of lays the whole different pieces of a big puzzle here, where water is saved and the woman's needs are met. So this is just in its start. So I think you will hear more about this going forward. A little bit secretive right now.
Sounds really exciting. So thank you so much, Jessica and Anna-Karin, for all your inspiring contributions. And I would like to ask both of you a final question before we hand over to Ruth. And that is, throughout the years you've worked with water, is there anything in particular that surprised you, that you've learned or experienced? And also, secondly, in short, what would you say that the main challenges has been working with the water issue? So surprises and challenges, just like you weren't actually prepared for this question. So it's just a spontaneous, quick reply. Would you like to start, Jessica?
Yeah, I can do that. I mean, the surprise is that at the same time, there is a lack of data. At the same time, there is an overload of data, depending on how you look at it. But the insight is that take actions. Don't wait for better numbers or better reporting or whatever it is. That the insight is take actions, do it, and then continue to improve. The more you learn, the more you know that, I mean, this is the thing. You start out knowing this, and then the context of what you don't know is this. Then you grow your insights, and the more you grow your insights, the more you realize that the scope is even bigger. So I think that's kind of the two things I take with me. So surprised to see how much data is needed, but also how much data there is. So both of that, and then also don't wait, take actions and do it, because we don't have time to wait. And that's one thing that is really sure. And also do it together with others. 2 brains are smarter than 1. 400 brains is smarter than 2. So I mean, this is where it's really important to use that. And I'm very happy to have all of these brains from all of these. And I've learned so much just today in this context and this hour.
Thank you so much, Jessica. What about you, Anna-Karin?
Well, I think throughout the years when we have worked with the water issue throughout the supply chain, both with our factories and water consumption patterns in the factories and water pollution patterns and chemicals and what have you, but also in product innovation, we've done a big program with our denim to save water. We've done a lot of things. So I think the surprise has probably been that the awareness is very low. Again, returning to where we started, starting with ourselves, understanding the luxury of water. That awareness throughout the value chain is very low. Like water has been running out of a hose on factory floors and not turning it off because water doesn't cost anything either. There is no price. You can just waste water like it was endless. I think that has been a very big eye-opener for me. And then likewise, with very small means, you can create a really big difference. Communication, training, education, that, turn off the hose is just saving a lot of water, right? So I think we have learned a lot. So that has been a surprise. And sorry, the second question was?
Challenges.
Challenges. Probably the same.
Yeah.
Probably the same. Low awareness and a lot to do. I think we can create a lot of difference with very small means. Communication, training, awareness raising. But also that is the challenge, right? Getting access to the value chain, to the right spots where the water issue is happening. Yeah. But again, collaborations and partnerships with good organizations like WaterAid that has the right connections on the ground can make a really big difference. So we need to work together.
Thank you so much. We have listened to Anna Dahlberg, who's the Director of Sustainability at Lindex, and Jessica Cederberg-Vodmar, who's the Global Sustainability Director at GANT. And I'm now delighted to hand over to my colleague Ruth Lof, who's the Senior Private Sector Advisor at erAid UK. Hi, Ruth.
Hello, hi Anna. Thanks ever so much. So just while my slides are loading up, I mean, it's so inspiring to hear from two, fabulous examples, two leading companies talking about.
So I think we're losing the sound from Ruth. Are you with us, Ruth? We can see the screen and the presentation, but we can't hear you, Ruth. So let's just wait a little while and see if we get her back. So we are waiting for Ruth Lof, who started presenting and then disappeared. We'll see if we get the sound back or if we'll need to finish without her presentation. Let's just wait a little while more while we're trying to get into contact with her. I know she's in a hotel room in Stockholm to participate in the World Water Week and might not have access to her usual equipment. So we're trying to get hold of her to check if we can continue or not.
Anna, if there are any questions from anyone in the audience, maybe that is something that we can do while we're waiting for her.
That's a great idea, Jessica. So we didn't get any questions so far, but we still have Jessica and Anna Karin here. So do you have any questions relating to their presentations or anything else relating to their sustainability work? You're most
I have
welcome.
a question for you, Anna.
Yeah.
So Anna, I mean, you're working in all of these countries, and we're now speaking here in Sweden. But have you seen a change over the years? Is there some countries that are taking more actions as a whole country, or are you seeing more industries taking actions? Or what trends do you see when it comes to I mean, this is both from a country perspective, but also from a perspective of industries.
Right. So I think Ruth would probably be even better to answer that, having worked for a long time with erAid. But I think that we definitely see more and more interest from the corporate industry. And I know myself, having worked with sustainability for many years, and with multinationals here in Sweden, that water didn't used to be a sort of top priority issue for corporates. But I'm seeing a lot more both research, interest, and the willingness to learn, although it's sort of uneven how much you actually know about it. So now I see Ruth here. Do we have you back again? Can you hear us, Ruth? No. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
I'm so sorry. What are the chances? I've been listening attentively the whole way through, and then it drops off as soon as I come on.
We are really happy to have you back, Ruth. Most welcome to continue presentation.
Bad timing, I apologize. Well, hopefully we'll have stable internet going forward. If not, I'll try and join on my phone. Okay, great stuff. So diving straight in, I was just mentioning that, it was great to hear three key topics, both really inspiring presentations. First one, gender. Gender is so important to all of erAid's work. And just to flag, erAid's actually launching a on gender tomorrow at a talk show. So any of you that are interested in gender, and I think Jessica mentioned it quite a few points. The proof points, how do we scale and leverage this sort of stuff? So I'll come on to that later. Anna already mentioned we've done some great work on some pilot research on actually measuring the business benefits. And then finally, the piece about collaboration. So this kind of links perfectly to what I'm about to talk about. Both of these lovely colleagues were talking about working in partnership, working collaboratively with our partners. So I'm really pleased to introduce this topic I'm on now, the Wash Apparel Collective. So this is an initiative uniting fashion brands. It's a new initiative we're launching, and it's all about securing water stewardship and working for worker welfare by ensuring taps, toilets and good hygiene behaviours. So if we move on to the next slide, I will dive into what this is all about. So the context, Anna already set this out, and I don't need to tell all of you, you're probably
Ruth,
that's already.
Ruth,
As
we're having difficulties hearing you. I think perhaps you could switch off your camera.
Yeah, let's try that. Can you hear me okay then?
It's a little so-so, but do continue. We'll see how it works.
Okay, it doesn't work. I can use my Wi-Fi on my phone. Well, not my Wi-Fi, I'll just roam. Okay, so the apparel sector, one of the third largest user of water globally, and Bangladesh is one of the world's second largest apparel exporter after China. You all know this stuff very well. You know, we've heard about this from the two examples, but businesses need to think about all these business risks that are associated with worker welfare, ensuring business continuity. So do we have enough water to continue doing our operations? And regulatory and reputational risk, both these things have already come up. So that's a little bit of the context. So moving on to the next slide. So a little bit about the Wash Apparel Collective. What are we trying to achieve with this new initiative we're talking about? So as I've said, it's about uniting fashion brands on effective water resource management and providing taps, toilets and good hygiene behaviours for workers. It's the idea of pooling funding from companies and brands working and sourcing from the same areas in Bangladesh for apparel supply chains. And we're trying to drive some of that really innovative thinking around water resource management. So rainwater harvesting, we've already talked about that being really great opportunity for using grey water in the factories, reducing groundwater abstraction, all those sort of good things we like to hear about. And also wash in the with the workers in their supply chains. So with these brands working together, this is our vision to build a more resilient business for those brands and position all these brands working on the Wash Apparel Collective as real leaders in the sector, driving innovation, working together, really putting Bangladesh at the forefront. So at the moment we're in scoping phase, and I'll come into the timeline of what we're doing, but we're hoping to launch officially with all the partners in 2023, a 3 to 4 year programme with pooled funding of over $2 million. So moving on to the next slide. Okay, so in terms of what the work plan is and what we're trying to achieve here, as I said, we're going through some phases at the moment. The first phase is scoping phase. So where are the brands that are interested in this initiative? Where are they sourcing from? And this will enable us to identify the key hotspots in and across Bangladesh, in the key apparel regions, to identify where we can work together effectively. Then we'll be developing tailor-made worker welfare and well-being programs for the workers in the factories. There'll be an element of rainwater harvesting. You know, our colleagues in Bangladesh, Water Aid Bangladesh team, are really leaders in rainwater harvesting. They've kind of driven the innovation, and they are really experts in Bangladesh on this topic. And so trying to work on rainwater harvesting is a huge opportunity. And we've really established a really good working relationship with the BGMEA, the trade association in Bangladesh on ready-made garment sector. So we're working with them to drive advocacy and system strengthening. And of course, the kind of USP for Water Aid is we're known for our stories, our compelling ideas and our photography. So trying to position the WAC members as real leaders in this space, I think that would be really powerful. So this is the work plan and what we're planning to do. As I said, we're at scoping phase at the moment. So skipping on to the next slide. So now I want to bring to life some of the stuff you've heard about from our colleagues, but also some work that Water has been driving for the last 4 years now. So we've been working to try and measure and quantify the business value from investing in WASH in workers' supply chains and in their communities. So I'm going to highlight a project we did here in Bangladesh in ready-made garment factories. So it was funded by HSBC, It was a 3-year partnership with them. We identified 3 factories. So we had Fakir Fashion, Next Accessories, and Esquire Knit composite. And in those 3 factories, we identified the wash gaps and what the wash opportunities were. So in each of those factories, we delivered taps, toilets, and good hygiene behaviour training. And crucially, we did it in the workplace and in the communities where those workers are living as well. We also implemented rainwater harvesting at Fakir Fashion, which was a great success story in that particular example. And as you can see, these lovely pictures. Top right was some of the pictures pre-water aid intervention in the factories, and bottom left, post-intervention. So really nice things like menstrual pads, making them kind of at cost price in the factories, easily and accessible for female workers. You can see the picture on the bottom there with the hand washing facilities for multiple people in the dining room. Just really simple, easy, quick solutions. So moving on, I'm going to touch on some of the results from these projects. So it's really exciting. This research is actually being launched today. I'm presenting at a CV session later today in person, so we won't have any Wi-Fi issues. But it's about what we're doing is we're launching the results from this pilot research. So we actually did this test. We pilot tested different workplace settings. So these 3 are the ones from the ready-made garment sector in Bangladesh. And just to highlight this, it was 2 years in the making, this project. And the business indicators we measured, you can see here on absenteeism, punctuality, attrition rate of workers, medical costs in the actual RMG factories, and the quality of the products being made. So that the real one that stand out for me is absenteeism went down over that 2-year period by 15%. The medical costs within the RMG factories also decreased, and the quality of the products being made increased. And this was all a result of the wash interventions that WaterAid did with its partners across those factories. And just touching on the actual return on investment figures. So we measured and understood how that impacted the business. So bottom left box here, this is the return on investment from the 2-year program of investing in these issues. A $1.3 return. And the projected, so that's a 10-year period. How did it go over the 10 years? And it goes up to $6.7 return from $1 invested. And you can see the cumulative business impacts there as well. Before I go on, Anna, how much more time have I got? Because I'm aware I don't want to speak for too long.
You can have 2 minutes more.
2 minutes, perfect. I'll speed up a bit. So if we go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the timeline and milestones, what we're doing with the Wash Apparel Collective. Bottom left corner, you can see we're mapping and figuring out where we should be doing these interventions, all the way through to implementation for phase 2 and phase 3, the communicating and leveraging. Skipping on to the next slide now. So status update on where we are with the Wash Apparel Collective. These are the brands we've approached and spoken to. So far, there's lots of interest. And we're also running a webinar with the Alliance for Water Stewardship, a joint webinar on this topic on the 5th of October. Skipping on to the next slide, I think this is my final slide. So, what next? This is a really exciting new initiative. I think the opportunity here is thinking about why would you not be working with WaterAid to do this type of thing, to manage and mitigate these potential risks in your supply chain. And I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody in more detail about this. And I'm going to hand back to Anna. And huge apologies, Anna, for the technical issues my end.
No worries, Ruth. I think you handled it perfectly. Sorry you had to rush through your presentation. So I'm just going to wrap up. We've had really inspiring and innovative projects, how they're engaging staff and how they're impacting people in the communities that we work with. So thank you so much for all these wonderful examples. And I would just like to thank the panelists for participating and sharing your experiences, and thank the audience for joining. And if you work for a company and you're interested in joining March for Water or the VAC project, as Ruth has presented for us, you're most welcome to contact us. Or if you find Anna Karin's and Jessica's examples inspiring and would like to explore what a partnership with us could look like, please do reach out. And apologies for some of the technical issues that we had during the webinar. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.